quiche. I think it's an underrated dish. I use it for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, brunch. I love to take it camping. It packs really well flat in the cooler, and then you just take it out wrapped in foil, put it in your Dutch oven in the coals, and it reheats perfectly. Anyway, for me today, I'm just gonna have it here while I'm around the house. Super simple. The crust is already made, so that's ready to be rolled out. Have a circle of parchment. Once we get the dough rolled out, we'll put it in the pan. We cover it with the parchment and fill this with our beans. And also for the rolling pin, you'll see I have two choices out here. I much prefer a solid rolling pin that's flat with fixed ends or just cut off. I have much more control over it. This French one, I never did really learn how to use it correctly. It's confusing to me and I can't get the dough to roll out right. So you'll see me using this rolling pin. And also I've got some flour that I'll dust the countertop with. Just roll that dough out until you get it just about 1.5 inches larger than the diameter of the pan. I need to butter a pan like this because there's plenty of butter in the pastry. Then I'm just going to carefully lift the edge so that the weight of my hand, I'm not really pushing, I'm just kind of letting the weight of my hand let the dough sink down into those corners. And don't worry about these edges, I'll show you. We're not going to waste any of that, trust me. And then with this extra edge that's hanging over, I just fold it, lift up slightly and fold it so you get a little bit of a ridge. Some parts will have more dough than others, and that's fine. I'm just letting it all kind of just tuck back just right inside the top of the pan. And parts like this, where there's maybe a crack, that's fine. I'm just going to gently work that dough back together. Just continue on. And if this is cracking at the top, like after the pan, don't worry. We're going to fix that in 1 second. So now you're going to have this edge that's rolled and kind of bulky. You're going to take a knuckle, and then with 2 fingers, so if you've purchased a pie crust already done, this is probably what you're sitting in front of right now, and that's perfect. Take a fork, and we're going to dock the dough. These little holes will allow steam to escape during the blind baking process, the step we're about to do, which gives us those really great layers. Now into our 375-degree oven for 20 minutes. The bacon has crisped up really nicely. I'm just going to get that onto a plate and then drain off all but about a tablespoon or 2 of the fat. All right, I just wanted to mention that when I drained the fat, I tried to keep any of the brown bits in the pan. That definitely is going to add to the flavor. So while the onions are over here cooking, first of all, I am saving that bacon fat. I keep it in a mason or a quart jar, just in the refrigerator. It's great to have. I need to get these beans out of this pan, so I'm just going to grab a bowl. The beans are really hot, and I don't want to try to mess with them too much right now and get burned. So I'm just going to gather the edges of the paper and transfer that into the bowl. So the onions are done. I was just trying to get them started in the oil. I don't want to completely caramelize them and make them really brown. So this is going to be perfect. Just into a little container. So I have my 5 eggs here. I'm just going to whip those out and then add 1 teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of pepper. All right, at this point, I transfer the pie dish onto a baking sheet. I cook it not on the baking sheet so the bottom cooks a little bit better. I start by putting all the onions on the bottom. I like to do it this way instead of mixing everything in the bowl with the eggs, because if I have too much egg mixture, then I lose some of the toppings. In goes our bacon. That's just going to get kind of, I feel like I have more control over how everything ultimately ends up inside the pie crust. And then our cheese is going to go over that. Spatula and work any of the toppings that are sticking up too far that might burn down into the custard. This is going to go back into our 375-degree oven for 40 to 45 minutes until it's just set. You'll see there'll be a little bit of wiggle to it, but it'll be set and cooked. Having it transferred onto the pan makes it so much easier to handle, I think. All right, I'm setting a timer for 40 minutes. All right, so I checked it at 30 minutes and it's done. I had left the convection on, so it cooked just a little bit quicker than I'd expected, which is fine. I'm going to let this cool. Ideally, yes, you put this on a rack. I have done all of the dishes that I'm going to do for today, so it's going to sit right here for about 30 minutes. You don't want to cut it right out of the oven. Let it cool down slightly, and then we'll be ready to serve it. So to go on the side here, I'm going to make a little salad. I lied about those dishes. Do y'all know about this dressing? It's good. And I take just a little dash of QUICHE. I love it when the quiche is slightly warm still from the oven and the cheese is kind of melty. With the coolness from the salad, it's so good. Y'all give quiche a chance. The end with the crunchiness from the crust.